Good afternoon, everyone. It is now 6 p.m. and the July 13th, 2021 Durant City Council meeting is now called to order. If everyone would please stand, James Dalton will give our invocation.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the day, the beauty of the day. We thank you for our health. We thank you for the breath of life you give us. Lord, we thank you for the blessings you bestow on us sometimes even when we're not worthy. Lord, we just pray tonight as we go through the city's business, Father, that we be of one accord, that we be civil, and that we always do the right thing. Lord, we thank you for every good thing. We thank you for your Son, Jesus. It's in his name we pray. Amen.
Please remain standing while John Dean leads us in the flag salute. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Would the clerk please call our roll?
Councilmember Brittingham.
Here.
Councilmember Miller.
Here.
Councilmember Morris.
Here.
Vice Mayor Shearer.
Here.
Mayor Groby.
Here, we're all here tonight, and welcome everyone that is here. We will have our presentation of Employee Service Awards for the second quarter of 2021, and I think it's been a year since we've been able to do this, so we're all gonna, all the council, all the members, and Tom, if you would join us, we'll all go down front to do the presentation. Is this on? Can you hear me? Okay. The employees that we're recognizing tonight, they represent a total of 120 years of dedicated service to the city of Durant. We'll start with 15-year PENS. Ricky Ford Police Department, a award of commitment, a pen, and a $150 check. Our next employee award is Shane Walker, Police Department, a award of commitment pen, $150. Our next one, 15-year award, is Gina Brown from the library, award of commitment, pen, and $150. Thank you. And I should have said that any of the family that wanted to come up could do so, or maybe afterwards if you wanted to have a picture made with your pen or whatever. Okay, we're going to 25 years. Our first 25-year pen goes to Jennifer Gibson from the Finance Department. She gets a plaque, an award, a pen, and a $250 check. Thank you. Our next 25-year award goes to James Hicks, Fire Department. He gets a plaque, award of commitment pin, and a $250 check. Thank you so much. Our last award, Councilman Morris asked me if he could present it because he's known this guy for longer than I have, and they have a special friendship.
I get to present this award to Mr. John Ross, who I met about 55 years ago when we both started the 7th grade here in Durant. We both worked at Safeway, and we did many other things together. So John's been with us 25 years, and I'm proud that he is still with us. I'm proud I'm still with us.
Thank you, sir. Turn around, John. Yeah, get up here. I might add that I sold him a Ramsey winch, how long ago? 35 years ago, and he remembered it. At Genstar. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I guess we'll go back up now. Thank you all. When the what? Yeah, I like going down there and doing that. Well, not really. Okay, we'll give the chief a minute to get the podium back where it's supposed to be.
Think we're good?
Thank you. Our first order of business is the consent items, and we have A, B, C, D, E items under consent, and we can accept these all as one vote, or we can take out any of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that anyone wishes to and vote on it separate. Does anyone wish to pull out any consent item? If not, do we have a motion that we accept consent items?
I'll motion that we accept the consent items.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please, well, we record our own votes now. Okay. And I guess it'll pop up on this screen, our vote. Hopefully. Okay, motion passes 5-0. Our next item, information items. We have the different reports from the different departments. Actually, we have A through N. Is there anyone who wants to pull out and discuss any of the information items? Danny, did you? Okay. If not, do we have a motion that we accept the information items, which we don't have to do? Yeah, we don't have to do that. Okay, our next item of business, we're gonna change, item, under administration. We're gonna jump to item E, consideration to accept grant award for a weather radar system in the amount of $1.6 million from the Oklahoma Emergency Management and Office of Homeland Security. Mr. James.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, Council. As many of you know, I started in an emergency management director capacity approximately 15 years ago. One of my first realizations once taking that job and getting the formal training was the fact that we were underserved with radar coverage in this part of Oklahoma due to the distance away from the other radar projects. We started working at that point to move forward with trying to attain a grant or some way to enhance our coverage here because of the fact that not only is it the fact that we're a long way away from those radars, our topography, and the fact that we're hills and trees, it's really difficult to see storms as they approach. I'm very happy to report tonight this is going to come to fruition. Thanks to a lot of work from a lot of people. We want to thank, obviously, our Senator and Representative David Bullard and Dustin Roberts, but also I had an ace in the hole. And for years working in emergency management, we worked with other states, with other departments within the state. And I worked with Mark Gower for a lot of years. We worked together going to Louisiana and other places doing planning. After Governor Stitt took office, he appointed Mark Gower as the Director of Emergency Management. Mark's here tonight, and due to our representative and senators' hard work and the hard work by Mark Gower, we're going to get a grant to put a radar on the west side of Durant. We've been studying that, and I wanted Mark to come in person, and I'd like to have him have an opportunity to speak, if you don't mind. So.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, James. Mayor, Council, thank you for the opportunity to address you. As James said, 2019, I was the new state director for emergency management, and the state decided to make sure that I was well versed in every disaster possible very quickly. So we went from fires, floods, and tornadoes very quickly in 2019. And one of the first major tornadoes that I worked was the long track EF3 on April 30th that started near the Texas border and worked its way all the way up to the other side of Haleyville. And I've had this conversation, by the way, my PIO probably is cringing right now as I'm not reading from prepared marks because I ramble, but you've got me today. The indelible mark that 5 Doe Road left on me the day after that tornado hit. Watching what was going on, listening to the radio traffic across the internet that they use, that we can hear the emergency management responders. I lined out everything at the state office. I stayed on the phone all the way driving down, threw all my clothes in the car, and I came. And walking through 5 Doe Road left a mark on me that will never leave me. And talking to James and his staff and other first responders of how they have to try to predict what's on the ground or what's not on the ground in a high vegetative area at night, waiting for lightning flashes to maybe possibly give them an indication that something's on the ground to warn your citizens here, made this something that I couldn't sleep over until we had an answer on it. And through the hard work of years of your emergency management, the tribe, your senator, your representative, and all the parties and players, we were able to put this story together, and we began to work on finding a way to solve this solution. And I have never been more honored in my life to stand here in front of you and present you guys with this grant award to help close this radar coverage gap so that we can give the citizens, not only in the city of Durant, the county of Bryan County, and all the surrounding 85-mile area, a chance of getting just a little bit more advanced warning so that our preparedness activities, so the weather radios will go off in time, so that the media can have the resources that they need to make the response calls, and that people can hopefully take cover when a storm is approaching this area, so our citizens have the resources to take cover. And that, to me, is something that this may be the pinnacle of my career, to be able to bring something that brings Southeast Oklahoma the resources it needs to bring more public safety coverage and capabilities. So thank you for your time, and I really appreciate it and look forward to working with you on this grant.
Thank you so much for all your hard work on this, and also I can assure you we are just as proud as you are to give the check to receive it. Thank you very much.
Council, with that, if you would give consideration to approve the award for the grant for $1.6 million.
Do we have a motion?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Who operates it and who maintains the radar?
The radar will be owned by the city of Durant. The server will be at the emergency management office in the EOC. We are in the process of working with our partners that will be using it, both NOAA, the counties around us, the counties to the south of us in Texas, to do the maintenance on the radar over a long period of time. Our goal is to establish a slight user fee for getting the data out and then putting that money into the maintenance of the radar. But we are not completely, we don't have that completed at this point. Okay.
James, will the local TV stations have an access to the feed?
Our goal is that it becomes part of the NOAA network, and we are working with NOAA, with the Weather Service out of Norman, who we're in their WFO or their weather service area, to make that happen, and we think that will come to fruition. As we've been in the planning stage of this over the many years, we have involved them with us, and so we think that's going to happen.
James, do we have any sort of timeline?
We need to get it done within a year.
The state put us on that timeline.
Yes, sir.
You can do it.
We can do it.
The equipment's available?
The equipment will have to be built. And because of the dollar amount, we can't just go to a vendor and get it. We'll have to put out an RFP and write the guidelines for that, but we should be able to meet that. Over the last year, we have met with various vendors at different times to look at their products.
We have an RFP prepared that should go out by the end of the week. So we've been working on diligence.
Any other questions? If not, do we have a motion that we accept the $1.6 million?
I move we accept the grant award.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote? No, will we do it? I'm sorry, I'm used to the clerk doing it.
Thank you.
It passed unanimously. Thank you,
Awesome.
everyone.
I thank y'all for that very much. I have worked on that for a lot of years, and I think I was in the way, so once I stepped out and took the assistant city manager job, it seemed to happen, I don't know. Anyway, so.
We appreciate your hard work on it, and we appreciate you coming down, and I'm touched by your story because I heard it at a meeting, so, about how you felt when you came down when that real bad one hit around Blue over there, so I think that made you determined to do this, so thank you so much. And James, thank you for everything. Okay, we will now go, we'll start back under administration. We'll go to 4A, discussion on chapter 159 of the Code of Ordinances regarding sign regulations.
The idea was to have some discussion from council on the current sign regulations. I know I've spoken with several council members and they have some concerns with the way the sign ordinances are written at this time.
Ms. Danielle.
Well, I'm just here to kind of help answer any questions or anything you have. My understanding was that some of the questions were about the temporary sign ordinance. As you may remember, we did do a sign ordinance update earlier this year. So it's not on the website as of yet. It hasn't been codified. But I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys have. And if there's some changes that we need to make, we can take that back and start working on those.
I might ask Danielle, are the temporary sign permits still for 30 days?
Yes, it's for you get one temporary sign for 30 days per calendar year. So once a month, you can have one temporary sign per year.
What's the cost for the permit?
I believe it's $45 or something like that. It's not very much, as I didn't look at the specific price, but it's not very much from memory serves.
Maybe not, but it's irritating.
I have a problem with only one 30-day period per year. You know, I
Okay.
would like to see more periods or a longer period or
Mike,
something.
could you speak up? I can't hear you.
Yeah, okay. I have a complaint of only one 30-day period allowed because, you know, a lot of our businesses unfortunately are using temporary signs for full-time signs, and they shouldn't be doing that. But there's a definite need for someone to have a temporary sign more than once in a year, and I just think we should address that.
I agree with you.
What do you think? I mean,
Yes.
you think it should be longer than 1 month, or?
Oh, one 30-day period is not enough. How many you're going to allow them, I don't really have an answer. You know, maybe as many as they want, or maybe not.
Has there been a problem with temporary signs?
There has been. In the past, they'd put them up however they want, wherever they want. And then once we started kind of enforcing the ordinance, then we got a lot of grief for it. But the ordinance is the ordinance, and so we're trying to enforce it. And if you have questions, or we need to kind of look at something or change something, then that's what we're here for, to try to see, you know, if that's a complaint and an issue among the citizens, and we can look at that. And be happy to you know, hear any suggestions that you may have. Several of you I know are business owners, so might have some good input on what you guys feel or whatever. I'm not, you know, something that was already there that we just left there, but it was never enforced.
One thing I noticed is like some of the temporary signs, like on a fence or something, they've been there so long that they're all ragged and falling apart, and that doesn't look good.
Right.
I'm sure they've been there longer than 30 days.
Oh, sure.
And we don't have to vote on this. This is just for discussion, so.
And if we do decide to amend the ordinance, then we'll take it back to planning commission and then bring it to you guys. And if it's a real quick change, the turnaround will be real easy.
Danny, I got the impression that you and Mike might want to have the temporary sign longer than the
No,
30.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I read the ordinance and how they define a temporary sign, and you could just have one for one 30-day period a year. That's, I don't think that's conducive to helping small business.
You know, there's a misconception. Some of the ordinances are old and hard to understand. Like, I know one fellow in town that got in trouble for temporary signs, but he's allowed to back his wrapped truck up to the street basically and use it for a sign. And if it's got wheels, it's pretty temporary. But it's not, it doesn't fit the definition of a temporary sign, so he can leave it there 24/7, which he does. So that's, a lot of these ordinances are vague and need revamping is my complaint.
Councilman Morris or Councilman Scherer, I mean, would it be something that, I mean, enforcement might be is the other problem.
That's a big
but
problem.
You could say, you know, business could have temporary signs for up to X number of days per year, and they could use them for 2 30-day periods, or spread the 60 days out over, you know, 5 days a month for each of the 12 months. But then it becomes, I mean, then there's a difficulty in enforcement.
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be some limit, otherwise, you know, half the businesses in town could have temporary signs out at any given time.
You
Which,
know,
Can you bring up the definition of temporary sign?
one of our complaints is those big
And we
banner
actually
signs.
changed it. Sorry, Mike.
When a guy gets a ticket for a banner sign and his next door neighbor has one, I've got a big issue with that too.
With the banner signs, okay, I know we changed some banner signs, but the temporary sign definition is any sign or advertising device constructed of cloth, canvas, light fabric, portable cardboard, wood, wallboard, metal, or other light materials with or without frames, which is intended to be displayed for a limited period of time only in which is portable.
How would you define a sandwich board sign that people put their daily specials out on? Is that a temporary sign?
That would be, yes. And some cities do have specific language for, like, the sidewalk signs or the sandwich boards or things like that, especially in certain areas of towns. Like, for instance, downtown, they might have a different, you know, to allow more kind of the sidewalk signs and things like that. I've seen some cities do that.
But we don't have that in the ordinance right now.
Not currently, no.
Well, it seems like those little sandwich signs and stuff out in front of some of the restaurants, if they're the little wood signs and they're nice and they write on there with chalk or whatever, are you saying those are called temporary signs?
Yes.
That, to me, they leave them out there all the time is the purpose, and every day change the menu. Seems like that should be considered a permanent sign.
Right.
Right?
Or they can be considered something a little different, maybe. We can, like, so we can try to work on a definition to within that downtown area. We can even just have it within the CBD to make it easy. It's like we have the highway overlay district. We could have within the CBD having it to where the sandwich board signs are allowed as long as they're kept clean and, you know, things like that. Just as a permanent basis, that's something that we can do.
and the ordinance does define promotional signs,
Right, yes.
portable signs that aren't affixed to anything, like the A-frame sign, and maybe those, to the extent that they are gathered up after business hours, maybe could be exempted from the temporary sign ordinance if you had an A-frame sign that listed your specials or a new product, but that was gathered up and not left out. I mean, that's just a possibility.
I feel like we all agree that we need more retail and we're out to get more retail, and which means we need to be friendly to them. I wouldn't mind seeing us suspending the temporary sign rule until we figure out what the heck we're gonna do, and letting someone use their judgment on whether it's temp or permanent.
I
It's
definitely
not a
feel
good
like,
thing.
I'm sorry, Mike, I definitely feel like the little A-frame signs out in front of a place that advertises their daily special as far as a restaurant. And I would think most people take those in at night or they'll be stolen, probably.
Yeah.
You know, somebody would get them.
Right.
But, I think those, because you can drive by and you can kind of look, or you can walk down the sidewalk and see what the special is. Some of the businesses, you know, that put up like a banner over their business instead of a permanent sign, to me, it almost makes it look like they're just here temporarily.
Right.
And I know there's been a couple of stores that had just a banner up there for a long time, maybe still a couple that do, instead of putting a regular permanent sign. But those that look ragged and are frayed, I think that hurts a business more than helps.
It does.
But I kind of agree that maybe 30 days we might consider doing a little bit longer, or having it in 2 30-day increments, or having it in a 60-day, which might make it easier to enforce. As far as, what do you think, John?
Well, I think you could extend the period or have multiple periods for those temporary type signs. My experience in the past on the A-frame signs, like you see out in front of the shops, is that they're specifically defined in the code, and then they're taken in and taken out, and they're allowed to be there while the business isn't open. So that's been my experience with those types of signs, which makes sense. So,
You know, one of my issues, like the hospital puts up heroes work here signs, and the nursing homes do, and they're like yard signs are temporary, but I don't see a problem with letting them leave them up as long as they want for stuff like that. They're not soliciting money or anything. You know, they're appreciating the workers. And we're penalizing them under this temporary thing and saying, okay, take them down. I think that's a bad deal, personally. Just my
And-
opinion.
Currently in the ordinance, temporary signs are not allowed in the residential districts. Now, usually if we have like one of those that's up against the house, usually they don't really mess with it, to be
I'm talking
honest.
like on the street at King's Daughters, there's an example.
Right.
Heroes work here. Why should we penalize them for that? And the answer is we shouldn't.
Well, but you gotta take all of those to their extreme. You approve of that because you approve of the message.
Yeah.
If somebody puts a like sign up that you don't approve of the message or that looks trashy, you can't, you
Well,
have to
that's
have
what
an
I'm saying,
ordinance that
we're-
applies to all of those.
Yeah,
And
we
that's
should-
the difficulty.
Yeah, we're pretty specific on political signs, 6 weeks, I think, or something like that. And then, you know, and usually the politicians are pretty good about taking those down right after the election. So that's cut and dried. We understand that. But
Humphrey missed a couple.
Yes, I'll agree.
I'm just kidding you.
No, my big issue with the sign ordinance is the cost. I mean, it doesn't sound like a whole lot of money, $45 a month, but you know, you add that up over a year's period, there's some of these small businesses that, I mean, it affects them. And I don't know, I'd like to see that changed, because, I mean, $45 a month for a temporary sign put out, to me, it just,
is it a month or is it for the,
for that 30 days.
Oh, the
right
30
now.
days.
And after
I
that
got
30 days, it's over. I mean, they can't have it for another year right now.
Yeah,
But that's the $45. I mean, that's for a month period paying $45. I don't see why we would charge them anything at all, to be honest with you.
yeah, that's just government at work. I mean, that's what, one of the things good
I mean, I
government
do-
bad.
I understand ordinances. I mean, I get we got to have ordinances to, you know, to control what the signs look like and stuff, and make them look good and right. But charging people for a sign that they've already bought and paid for and putting on basically their own property, I don't agree with charging somebody for something that basically is on their own property.
And one suggestion I have is that staff can kind of go back and kind of look at what some other cities are doing with specifically temporary signs. We could even include some banner signs in there too. I know we updated that section of it. I'm not remembering specifically what we updated regarding banner signs just off the top of my head, but and we can kind of look at what others are doing and kind of bring something back to you all in the near future whenever you.
would you guys be happy with that?
Would we suspend fines for temporary non-compliance in the meantime?
What do you think, John?
To date, has there been any fines wrote on any kind of signage so far?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we have any outstanding? Do you know?
It's a $211 fine.
I think it should be rebated if they've already paid it.
No, I
think
know the fine's 211, but have we written any of those $211 fines yet?
Yes.
Okay.
I know that.
Mike, was the $211 one for a sign?
Yes. For temporary banner sign. I can name names if you want me to.
Now, I know who you're talking about. Could we not just do like you suggested and come, I mean, we could sit here all night and discuss whether we want to change the sign ordinance, but could we get some different ideas? We pretty much know that we would like to have them a little bit longer than 30 days. We might consider dropping the cost of them and even the fine, and unless they continually are told to take it down after the time's up and they don't take it down, maybe you warn them first or something. I don't know how that works. So they fined the first time, John, or do you know?
No.
Okay.
They do a really good job at contacting them and saying, hey, you're on warning, this is, and at the very beginning of this, they would go by the business and say, hey, listen, this is a temporary sign, it's not allowed, only you have to get a permit, and kind of explained it to them and kind of let them get into compliance. Even some letters went out kind of explaining what was going on, what was going to happen. And then for those that would not comply or had a lot of issues with, then there may have been. I'm not sure if there has been or not. I didn't get a chance to double check that, but I'll definitely look into that.
The same people that are gonna be the sign ordinance enforcers, the same people are enforcing all the other ordinances in the city?
Correct. And Mark Hall's been helping with the signs as
And
well.
how
as far
many
as enforcing
people
it.
do we have in that
We have
part?
2 code enforcement officers, then Mark Hall, the building official. All three have worked on signs.
I feel like there's other ordinances that are more critical to the appearance of our town right now than signs. I agree there are a few signs out there that something needs to be done with, but,
You're right.
yeah.
Well, I think we pretty much generally know what we would like to have you check and maybe come back with. Is that satisfactory to everybody? And then we could just move on.
Yep.
Is that satisfactory, Mike, Danny? If she comes up with some different, and Humphrey? Okay, and I guess, Steve, you had, okay,
I don't have any comments concerning it.
okay.
It's not gonna be enforced effectively anyway.
Okay, can we just go ahead? I mean, we don't need to table it or just take no action right now, or just go on.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Danielle.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're on 4B. Discussion, consideration, and possible action on ordinance number 0-2021-17, a rezoning request from I1, I guess, Light L1, LI, or L1, Light Industrial, District to C3 General Commercial District for property located at 308 Katy Avenue, PC 2021-18. Danielle again.
Yes. The applicant came forward and requested a rezoning for some potential commercial business, and currently the property was zoned as I1, so he wanted to do C3, which is general resident or general commercial. There is C3 that's directly to the west of this property, so they're just wanting to do that. The Planning Commission and staff do recommend approval of this item, and there was no citizens that we didn't receive any letters or phone calls or anything from citizens for protesting or support. So either one. So, and the applicant's here. If you have questions for him or questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Does anyone have any questions? Any discussion? How about a motion?
The planning commission did approve
Yes, planning commission did recommend approval, correct?
I make the motion that we, approve the rezoning.
I second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Call for the vote.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Okay, motion passed. It does have the emergency clause under B2. Consider action on ordinance 2021-17, section 2, emergency clause.
Make the motion, we approve the emergency clause on ordinance 0-2021-17.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Call for the vote. Motion passes. It's getting faster now, Cindy. Okay, number 4C, consider approval of resolution R 2021-15, authorizing participation in the OMAG recognition program.
Do you want me to speak to that, or, okay. Every year, OMAG offers participation to their municipalities to join in the recognition program, and it is training, and it's geared specifically towards council. It is an open meeting, so anyone could attend, and we've done this for several years now. After full participation by council, the city is eligible to receive a $10,000 payment, which is earmarked for transparency. And this resolution in front of you is there because we did get full participation and would allow us to receive those funds.
Okay, did everyone hear her? Is there any discussion? Call for the motion.
Make a motion that we, approve resolution R-2021-15.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Call for the vote. Motion passes 5-0. Item 4D, consider approval of resolution for the appointment of Emily Redmond as City of Durant alternate administration hearing officer, R-2021-17.
Mark Hall wasn't able to be here, but this is for a backup judge to our code enforcement judge who's currently here. Rocky is still going to remain and be our full-time judge, but Tina, who is his backup, stepped down a few months ago and we wasn't able to find a replacement for her until just recently. So we just would like for her to have a backup.
Is there any discussion on this? I guess did everyone get a email or whatever from Rocky recommending or ask whatever? Do we have a motion?
I make the motion, we, appoint Emily Redmond as a City Durant Alternative Administrative Hearing Officer.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Danielle. 4F, discussion, consideration, and possible action on the Larkspur Lane Extension Number 2 award of bid. Who will address that?
I will. The Larkspur extension was bid, the engineer had an estimate, and it came in significantly over the estimate, and the engineer and staff both recommend to not award the bid.
So this will be a no action.
It would be a no
A no.
on the award, motion to deny, that's correct.
Okay, did we vote on that just this? Okay, do we have a motion that we deny, item number F?
All motion that we deny the Larkspur Lane Extension Number 2 award of bid.
We have a motion, we have a second,
I'll second.
we have a motion and a second, call for the vote.
If we vote yes on this, we're voting to
To deny.
deny.
I hope we voted right. Okay, we all right? Okay, is there, under item 4 or 5, new business, is there any new business? If not, do we have a motion for adjournment?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Record the vote, please. Motion passes. We are now adjourned from the Durant City Council. Pardon? Yeah, I'll need just a moment. Okay. Okay, I'm rushing.